This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Whether you're packing for a vacation or dressing for a wedding, Nordstrom has head-to-toe looks for wherever summer takes you. From swimwear and bold color to romantic florals and dresses that make an entrance, find the right style for every unforgettable moment. Shop new arrivals from brands you love like Farm Rio, Free People, Vince, Wave, and Stod. Plus free shipping and returns and styling help whenever you need it make it all so easy. Shop now in stores at Nordstrom.com or download the Nordstrom app.
Girl, winter is so last season. And now spring's got you looking at pictures of tank tops with hungry eyes. Your algorithm is feeding you cutoffs. You're thirsty for the sun on your shoulders. That perfect hang on the patio sundress. Those sandals you can wear all day and all night. And you've had enough of shopping from your couch. Done hoping it looks anything like the picture when you tear open that envelope? It's time for a little in-person spring treat. It's time for a trip to Ross. Work your magic.
Plan B is a backup birth control option that's there for you when things don't go according to plan. It specifically works after unprotected sex and before pregnancy occurs by temporarily delaying ovulation. Plan B is available nationwide at all major retailers and through delivery apps like DoorDash. No ID, prescription, or age requirement. It's the #1 OBGYN recommended brand of emergency contraception, and it won't impact your future fertility. That's freedom to be. Use as directed.
Welcome to Beginnings and Breakthroughs. This is where I celebrate and coach people just like you who are on a mission to heal their metabolisms, feel better fast, and live their best lives. We will be walking through what's worked for them and what they've discovered on their journeys, and then I'll coach them on their next best steps. And if you're interested in being a guest, stay tuned and I'll be sharing how you can join me too. All right, I will be right back with our awesome guest. Hey there, welcome to another session of Beginnings and Breakthroughs, and I've got Brenna with me today, and I just want to ask you, have you ever felt like if you couldn't be perfect at something that you shouldn't do it at all, or you're doing great, but then something knocks you off and then you fall down? And I call it kind of the roller coaster approach to health. If you can relate to that, and I think we all can at some level, then you're gonna love this interview where we really unpack that and go, how do we approach this so that we don't have that all or nothing mentality, right? So it's not either you're good or you're bad, all that stuff. We're gonna be unpacking that. We're gonna be looking at the toll that stress can take on your body, how you should measure your thyroid and your adrenals, and then some strategy and tactics for improving sleep and fitting fitness in. And so I'm excited to share Brenna with you. I will be right back, so stay with me.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I woke up to this blinding light, and I was transported to another place. Pluto TV! Then I heard a voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
There were thousands of movies and shows, and they were all free. The truth is ours. It's just so beautiful.
On Pluto TV, free streaming of Terminator 2, Fringe, Arrow, The 100, and The X-Files may cause excitement, loss of sleep, and sudden belief in extraterrestrials. No credit cards or alien encounters necessary. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
One crunchy bite of a Hershey's cookies and cream bar, and I'm taken right back to college move-in day. I was a little overwhelmed by the newness of it all. Boxes were everywhere, I needed a break from unpacking. But just as I was able to take a breath and open my Hershey's cookies and cream bar, my new roommate Rachel walked in. I offered her a piece, but she said no. Then after a beat, she said, "Actually, those are my favorite ones." We laughed. The ice was broken, and we've been friends ever since.
Hershey's. It's your happy place.
So it's really interesting when you look at how to get healthy, and what we're going to really focus on here today. And this is Brenna. And Brenna, I'm super excited to have you with me. And Brenna just admitted off air that she has a roller coaster approach to health, that she's either all on, and then she feels like if she messes up, she has to be done. And I'm sure that there are some people out there, Brenna, that go, "Oh, I get it. That's totally me." So you're not the first person I've heard this from. However, our big goal now is to is to knock it off, because while you could probably have a roller coaster approach to health in your 20s, maybe even into your 30s if you're lucky, you start going into your 40s and into your 50s, forget it. Your margin of error shrinks to this very small thing. And when you really look at what it means to be truly healthy, it just becomes who you are and how you live. Like, you probably don't have an on and off again thing with brushing your teeth, do you?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I would hope not. That would be gross. So, it has to be the brushing the teeth type of thing. I probably don't have an off and on again about, like, drinking some water or taking a shower. So that's how we start to look at these things, is how do we make them just non-negotiables? Because consistency of habits is what creates health. It's not what you do for a week. And in fact, the way that I write the Virgin Diet, Sugar Impact Diet, any of my programs are written that they are there to teach you how to figure out what works for you. And Virgin Diet's like which foods work for you and which foods don't, so that you can then bring that into your everyday eating, healthy eating. Same with Sugar Impact. Where's sugar sneaking in? How many carbs should you have? And so it's really meant not to be an on again, off again. It's meant to be a learn and put into place. And I know what you told me offline, that you lost 23 pounds on the Virgin Diet and kept it off, which is amazing. And then I think you, like so many people during COVID, the pandemic kind of like whacked us tad. So, all of a sudden when they start to take away things like the gym, which is probably one of the things that could help you not have problems with COVID, which is, it's kind of that catch-22. So now let's look at it here and go, all right, you're here now. And as we start to look at this, the most important thing is, how can we start to put these things in place so that you are just continuing to improve and improve and improve? I look at where we're at now, and you're 47, is you are a snowball going down a hill. Now, what you really want to do is have that hill be flat and the snowball's not going anywhere. Or maybe it's starting to go up the hill, but if you have it going down a steep hill, it's picking up speed and you're just getting worse and worse and worse. That's what we don't want to have happen. We want to reverse that. And so it really comes to consistently building on good habits and knowing that you're going to mess up. There's going to be days where you might eat something you shouldn't have. You miss your workout, your sleep's terrible. That's human, right? And the most important thing you can do with that is go, okay, so my sleep was bad. Why was it? Is there something that I need to change what I'm doing? Or is it just a one-off and that's, those things happen, right? So it's also showing compassion and grace to yourself, because like, I've never really done anything perfect in my life. So, if you set yourself up that it has to be all or nothing, then you always end up with nothing.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
We don't want that.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. So you're 47, your big goals now for if you could wave the magic wand, where would you love to see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months? What changes in your health and in your body would you love?
Well, I would love to drop 10 pounds. And I guess that's my question too. I'm not quite sure where my goal weight should be. So I'm 130 right now. I'm 5'2", 47. So I'm not sure, is 120 my goal weight, or do I go down to 115? That's another area that I'm like, I'm not quite sure where my goal weight should be.
We will definitely unpack that. Okay, so that's the first one. You'd like to hit your goal weight. I'm glad you said that, because I totally want to dig into that one. What's the next one?
So the next one is, I'm starting to feel a little bit fatigued and sluggish. And I know that absolutely is tied to my diet and lack of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I started working from home more with COVID, and, obviously you're not as mobile around the office. So I need to make sure that I'm, getting my steps in and, walking on a daily basis versus just sitting all day long.
Yes.
So I definitely think that I need to start moving, much more again. And just feeling better. Like I said, I'm very fatigued and tired often. I definitely don't feel my best lately.
So, and here's the other question. You're 47 years old, and is everything, or do you have normal periods still?
So I actually got a hysterectomy in July of 2020. So no more periods.
But you still have your ovaries?
Just one.
Okay. So are they doing any kind of hormone replacement therapy with you?
Currently, no.
Well, with just one, you're still going to be cycling.
Yes.
So you still actually are perimenopausal. So there's that issue too. So we're going to unpack all of this because a lot of things you have going on are fairly, common things going on. And I think one of the first questions is like, how much should I weigh? And I really want to look past that question. And if I had my way, there would no longer be normal scales. The only way you could step on a scale was to step on a scale that's a bioimpedance scale that gives you both your fat-free mass, your fat mass, and then bonus points if you can get what's called visceral adiposity. These scales used to be thousands of dollars. In fact, I have one in my house that I've had carried around now for like 20 years that was $5,000. Now you can get them for $99 on Amazon. And so that's what I want you to do is get yourself a scale, because it's not what you weigh, it's what that weight is made up of. See, if you are 130 pounds and you are 20% body fat, that is very different than if you are 130 pounds and 30% body fat. So we need to look at how much fat-free mass you have, because you basically on your body have two things. You have fat mass and you have fat-free mass. And as we age, we want to make sure that we are holding on to and building if possible. And at your age, still building totally possible. Once we get to 65 plus, putting on muscle gets more challenging. But we want to make sure that you really got that lean body mass on for a couple of reasons. Number one, it protects your bones. Number two, it's the best thing when people say, I want a faster metabolism. Well, you need to put on muscle, because muscle is what helps your body. It requires more energy to exist on your body, so it raises your metabolic rate. You're going to have a bigger metabolic effect from the exercise itself because you created an oxygen deficit and protein muscle turnover that your body has to deal with. That's very costly. But just having more muscle on your body is very costly. Your body has to be constantly working to turn it over. So we want to start monitoring body composition and that fat-free mass. And if you focus on holding on to and building that fat-free mass, you will naturally then start to be able to lose the fat if we start to look at it that way. And there's things we can do to specifically target losing body fat. So that's the very first step, is that one. Because again, I look at weight and, I wanted to be a model when I was in my teens, which is really ridiculous because I'm not very photogenic. But they kept telling me I had to lose weight because I was 6 feet tall, but all those models were like 120 pounds. I couldn't get to 120 pounds for anything. Like, I don't have that bone frame, but I'm 150 pounds and 15% body fat. Like, I've always had a very muscular frame. I couldn't possibly do it, but I didn't understand back then, right? And so that's why you've got to be able to look at it and go, okay, what in the height weight chart, what is the range for you? And it's probably 105 to 120 is the range, somewhere in there. And they've got the height weight charts and the BMI charts. But those don't give you the full picture of the body composition of body fat and fat-free mass. So you want to look for what's the weight range, and then you start using the scale to go, okay, when am I getting into a good body fat-free mass percentage for me, which for most women, what you want to look for is 20%. And it takes time to do that because you're going to build muscle, lose fat. Now, once someone's highly trained, it's harder to really do those things together. But when you're really starting out, you can do them both together. So bonus points for not really working out on a regular basis yet, for being random about it. So that's the first thing. So that's how you figure out what you should weigh, is I'd give you a range, but I'd start to monitor that body composition with the goal that you put on the muscle and lose the fat to get to 20% body fat. Okay? 25% would be the highest point, and athletic women can be as low as 15%. When I was in grad school, it was 18 to 22% was kind of the range they did for ideal for women. So you get the idea, and it really depends. Some women are curvier by nature, some women are more muscular, so you work with what really feels good to you. But that will serve you so well as you start to move into aging and keeping your bones healthy and keeping your metabolism up. Now, when you complain about energy, the things I always have to look at is how is your sleep, how is your stress, and how is your thyroid functioning? And that is one that I always say, especially when you've been through a very stressful situation, which you have, you've got to check in on your stress and your thyroid. So there's two ways you can look at these things that are all telling. One is you want to look at a really comprehensive thyroid panel. This isn't typically something you'll get from a traditional doctor. You'll want to work with a functional medicine practitioner, or you can go to, and I'll put this in the show notes, yourlabwork.com. It's either your lab work or your lab test. Every time I do this, I'm like, I can't remember which one. It's my buddy, Dr. Alan Hopkins, who did a direct-to-consumer lab testing company. So if you can't get a doctor who can order these, you can get them ordered. But you want to get a TSH, a free T3 and T4, and then thyroid antibodies, because you may have a thyroid that looks like it's a normal range, but realize the ranges we're looking at are not healthy ideal ranges. Like I've got hypothyroid at 2, and that's totally within the normal range. I had, constipation, elevated cholesterol, eyebrows falling out, everything. So, and elevated antibodies. So you want to measure all of this. So that's the first thing, because if your energy is not good, yes, diet plays a role. Yes, exercise plays a role. Yes, sleep plays a role. But if your thyroid's not working, you can do all of those things and you'll still struggle. Along with that, you also want to make sure you're checking your iron levels. So a serum ferritin, and then of course just a basic CBC will give you, so you can look at your total iron levels and see what's going on there. Quite often, low thyroid and low iron go together, and those can play a role, right? Okay. Next thing is, what about stress? Now, stress has always been this weird thing, because how do you quantify stress, right? You're like, when you really look at people going through especially very stressful situations, which I know you went through, I went through one similar, and initially you've got all this adrenaline and you feel like you could move mountains, and then you start to get tired. And so there's phases of what we call adrenal exhaustion, where at first your body goes into this overdrive. And that's why acute stress is not a problem for most people. It's the chronic stress, because then you start to burn out your adrenal glands. They can't, it's like you can't keep the foot on the gas for that long. And so you go from feeling super wired, I can get anything done, to what's called wired and tired, where you're tired, but you still feel wired and it messes up your sleep, to just being tired. Most people don't come in when they're wired because they're like, woohoo, but when coffee no longer works, then they come dragging in. There's a great test to show this. Again, it's one that a functional medicine practitioner would do, or you order from the lab company, called an adrenal salivary index. And it looks at your cortisol pattern over a day. So you spit 4 times during the day. You do it during a normal day. Like a normal stressful day. Like you don't do it on a lying on the couch day. You want to see how do you respond in a normal day? Like I had this crazy trial attorney, and I said, I want to see you when you're in court. Like that's what I want to see, because if you can't get your cortisol up and you're like going in for that, something's up. So you spit 4 times a day. It looks at your pattern to see how you're doing, and it also looks at DHEA, which is also secreted through the adrenal glands, to look at the ratio of those. That's important too, because that's going to feed over to how well you produce testosterone. So those are the first things that just to look at and check, because if those are an issue, those are things that you're going to want to correct. And there's ways to correct your adrenals and help with stress. If you didn't know anything, I have my Take 10 stress support that's like a tonifier that can help. But depending on where someone is in their cycle, there might be other things they can do as well. One of the good ones, and I know you've been taking vitamin C, because stress just knocks out vitamin C. So that's a good one too. So those are the considerations. And then also that consideration, because you had a hysterectomy, but you still have your one ovary, so you're still cycling, and you still need to track that. And it's actually harder because you don't have any sign. So you're going to have to just...
It's definitely harder because...
But you do have, you don't have the physical sign, but right?
Because I want to eat everything, so I do kind of know.
So we still need to know that, because we're tracking like you're going to go and have menopause. It's just you're going to have to track it by symptoms, not by that. And then you'll have to make the decision, what do I want to do through menopause? Right now in this situation, you can do things like DIM, which can help detoxify the bad estrogens. You can do flax in your shake, which is a great phytoestrogen. You can use, I have a product I love, Anato EGG, because you'll get hot flashes. It will help with those and help with bone density. So there's things that you can do now to help you as you're going through it, because you're going to go through it. And so just so you know, you're not crazy, right? And the other thing you've got to look at is why you had the hysterectomy in the first place, because it wasn't because you had a uterus, right? Something was wrong. So whenever that's happening, you've got to look and see what was going on. And if you were bleeding a lot, did we ever get your iron levels back up? Because if you didn't, they can take a year, 2 years, 3 years with supplementation. Generally, you'll have to do IV iron. So these are all things that you need to work with a functional medicine practitioner on if they were not addressed. And I can't tell you how many times I hear people get a hysterectomy, did never deal with why they had to get it. Now they still have the challenges because they had the challenges that created the problem in the first place, right?
Yeah, I definitely had heavier periods, but the reason that I got it was because of the fibroids. I had a lot of fibroids.
Yeah, so we still have to go, okay, what was going on with that? Why was that happening? Is there anything going on that we need to adjust diet-wise, hormonally? Do you have any issues, right? To see why that is. And then also to look at detoxifying some of the estrogens. So there's that. Now, on a diet and lifestyle thing, and just to throw one more over, and I know we have stress and sleep. So on the diet side, you've gone through the virgin diet, you found out that dairy and gluten didn't work well for you. When was the last time you went through it to recheck on the other foods?
It's been since 2019, since I've been on the diet. So yeah, I would definitely like to do another round of it.
Yes. So what I recommend to people is, you pull out the 7 foods, and the reality is most of us are better off without dairy and gluten anyway. If you do fine with dairy, I find most people are better with sheep or goat and heavily, and have it fermented. Most people are better off without corn. It tends to be one of our more sprayed crops, right? And soy can be problematic for thyroid. And it has to be organic. It has to be heavily fermented. So the reality is, it's really eggs that are the great one that I love people to have unless they have an issue with it. So I would go back, do it again. You don't need to re-challenge dairy and gluten. You know the answer there. Keep them out. And we also, one of the worst things you can put in your diet for any reason, whether it's your bone health, whether it's stress, is sugar, and especially fructose. So I'm not going to tell you to re-challenge with sugar, and I know that you've had some issues with sugar. So after you do that 21 days and you go back and really connect the dots, the next place to go is to do the sugar impact diet, because we got to get your sweet tooth under control. And I developed that program to help you lose your sweet tooth in 14 days or less. So we've got to find things for you. It turns out sour can take your sweet tooth away. And I know you're like, I like drinking some sweet stuff. And I'm like,
I do.
So
I drank a large soda pop every day. But since I read the Virgin Diet, I have not been doing that every day, but I still do have 1 or 2 on a weekly basis. So,
okay, so here's my question. Could we swap that out for a Zevia?
Yes. I do love the Zevia teas, the green teas. And
well, they also have Zevia soda. Like, in the perfect world, I'd love you not to have it, but the reality is 1 or 2 a week of Zevia, it's fine. So if you could switch to the Zevia soda instead of the regular soda, that's a huge win. And I look at how do we swap things out? And if sugar's a major problem, that's one thing. But if it's like a couple things that we could swap, then we're great. The other thing I always look at is when someone's craving sugar, are you getting enough protein, healthy fats, and fiber in your diet for good blood sugar balance? Like, what's a typical day of eating for you?
Yeah, I think I struggle with protein because I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, but I don't like a lot of meat in my diet. So I do have your protein shakes. I love them. I try
Hmm.
and make at least one a day. But I think in my perfect diet, I'd like to have two protein shakes so that I'm at least getting my protein in and then a normal meal.
So what I would share too is get the collagen as well. If you take, because I really would love to see you start with get 30 grams of protein in, and when you really look at probably where you're going to settle in weight, like around 120, that you're going to want to have 90 grams of protein. If you're really in a building mode, you'll take it up past that. And so if you're doing one of the protein shakes, and especially if you're doing the paleo inspired, and then you add in another scoop of collagen, you'll get yourself to 30 to 35 grams of protein in those two. Each shake will have that. So that solves a lot of problems. And especially if you're making it loaded, you could add the flaxseed meal in there, so that will help with the phytoestrogens. So that's healthy fat and fiber, and then, a little bit of berries and some kind of nut milk, and we've got it dialed. Is that possible?
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually have the plant-based protein. Is that okay?
It's okay. And what I would do is add the collagen in. The only people who can't add the collagen, because collagen is from animals, is someone who's a straight vegan. But as long as you're cool with that, then I would add the collagen in. And I would also, so do the collagen. And you're cool with the plant-based shakes? They work for you?
Yeah, I love them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I love the chai. I like mixing that. I actually mix the plant and the paleo together. I like the texture of the two together the best. So that works great to have those two things, and then have a meal with a lot of non-starchy vegetables, because I want you getting a floor of at least 5 servings a day. So that means a big mixed green salad, a side of some kind of non-starchy vegetables, and then some kind of protein, probably about 6 ounces. Is that something you can do?
Okay. Yeah.
Easy
Yeah, it
enough?
is rough. I love potatoes, so that's a rough one for me. I know I need to substitute like a
Well,
sweet potato.
no, you don't actually need to. So here's the thing. Let's say you're going to have 2 servings of fruit a day, one in each smoothie, right? If you can add some greens into the smoothies, bonus points. I personally hate greens in my smoothie, so I don't do it. If you can do it, it doesn't bother you, because usually you can't really taste them, fine. But what we're really getting in the smoothie is the protein, the healthy fats, and fiber. And I really try to kick the fiber up. So generally mine, I use like a half of a slightly green banana for the resistant starch. I add in some extra fiber of mine, and I add in flax. So I'm like kicking the fiber way up. So 2 of those, and then for your meal at night, like a big mixed green leafy salad, broccoli or cauliflower rice or something like that, your protein, and then a half a cup of some kind of potato or starchy carb is fine. Now here's what's interesting, after the virgin diet and all the information started to come out about resistant starch, I really changed my position on potatoes. In fact, I was on Dr. Oz talking about how potato is the ultimate diet pill. Because I thought, well, I'll say that because that will freak everybody out. But here's why. Now, I'm not saying French fries are important. Is if you prepare potatoes correctly, you will help with their resistant starch. They're one of the high resistant starch foods. Cooled rice, cooled potato, slightly green bananas. The challenge is the best way to eat a potato is not the most delicious way to eat a potato. It's boiled and cooled. Not very fun. What I like to do is I take the little nibbler potatoes and I roast them and cut them in half or in thirds and roast them, and then I let them cool. So by cooling, they actually have more resistant starch. Or if you did a half a baked potato and let it cool, right? So there's still the opportunity to have the potato. It's just the amount, right?
Sure.
So half a cup, totally cool. Doable?
Doable. Yes,
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's easy with that. Now, what you really want to look at here is making sure that you're stopping eating at least 3 to 4 hours before bed, because I know you have some issues with sleep, and eating too late messes up your sleep. And eating within at least, no more than a 12-hour window, and I'd love to shrink it down from that. So, pushing your breakfast a little later, make sure you're getting your dinner in a little earlier, and no snacking. What's up with your sleep?
Um, I sleep okay, I guess, but I don't get enough of it, obviously. I go to bed, late at probably around 11:30, and I have to get up, around 6. So I'm definitely probably not getting a lot of sleep. And I'm not quite sure about the quality of sleep because I don't have anything that measures that.
But you can get something, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
So you could get an Aura ring. That's what I've got in here, Oura, Aura. I've got an Apple Watch that measures it. There's Garmin's that measure it, Fitbit that measures it. You just got to find the one that won't irritate you. And because it really does matter. What you measure and monitor, you can improve. The things I think we most should be doing is getting on a scale every day so we really know we can track the trend of our lean body mass and fat mass. We do our sleep, like I track my sleep, so you really can look at what messes things up for you. And boy, you can tell when you eat late and what it does. So if you were left your own devices, what time would you go to bed and what time would you wake up?
If I slept my own devices, 11:30 or 12, and I would wake up at 8 or 9.
And for your job, do you have to get up that early?
Yes, absolutely.
Like there's no way around it?
No, I work for a large corporation, so.
In the perfect world, like here's what's interesting. There are night owls and early birds. It is genetic. It is known. I used to be like this crazy person with, no, you have to sleep during this time. And then I was working with all these entertainers in LA and they would be like, but I get my creative burst at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to do with this? And so in the perfect world, you'd be able to sleep during your right time. Sadly, that is not the case. So what we're going to have to do, but you cannot get 6.5 hours of sleep and pull it off. I mean, there's a small group of people who can, but for the most of us, it's more in the 7 to 9 hour range.
Yeah.
So
I definitely feel sluggish if I don't have at least 8 hours.
Yeah. So I don't know how to fix your energy if you're not going to fix your sleep. It's not possible.
So I've been trying to, I love to read a book, and I love meditation, and I found some sleep stories that seem to work well, but.
Cool. Yeah, I love Joe Dispenza has a great sleep meditation that can totally help. I do my sleep candy at night, magnesium, body calm at night. I have my red glasses so that I can sleep. Ideally, if you can take a hot bath, it's even better. I cool down the room to 67. I'd take it down to 63 if it was just me, but we have a little dispute. But somewhere between, 62 and 67, you get it way cool. You get it totally pitch dark and no sound. And just make sure that you can sleep. And you just got to start backing yourself. It's almost like a time zone shifting where you have the power down hour, the hour before bed. You get into bed. You want to fall asleep within 30 minutes of getting in bed. And you just have to just be hardcore about this is when I go to sleep.
Okay.
Right? You just have to be like your own parent here because no one's going to go make you do it. But it's like if you look at the things that make the biggest difference in health, sleep is right up there at the top. Like, I don't know how to fix blood sugar issues, adrenal issues without someone getting good sleep. It's key critical.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so if you're going to bed at 10, then you're winding down at 9 and you're getting in bed at 9:30. So that means that dinner needs to be done by 7.
Okay. Yeah, I typically eat around 5:30 or 6, so I don't think that's problematic.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Now, you still working out of the house or are you working from, you have to go into the office?
So it's more of a mix. It's a flex schedule where I go into the office 1 or 2 days a week, and then I work from home the other 3 days a week.
Okay, cool. So then how do we fit exercise into your life?
So yes, I definitely need to get back to exercising. I do have a gym in my basement, so I really don't have any excuses.
Nice. Okay.
It's just finding, I guess, more so the motivation to do it. So
So
I
the
think that's where I
motivation,
struggle.
Yeah, the motivation's got to come from the big vision. And I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, and I don't want you to go, okay, I'm going to do all these things. One thing at a time. Like I've just said, okay, we've got to fix your sleep. You should have all this testing done. We're going to tweak your diet. Pick one thing. Get that thing set in. Get used to it. Live like that. Have your new accountability partner just like helping you with it. And just make sure that sticks before you go to the next thing. If it's unsticking, go back to it. And make these things non-negotiable, right? And so a lot of this starts from, the motivation, if it's external, it will never work. It won't. And if it's short term, like, I've been in this field for nearly 40 years. People are like, I've got a reunion. I'm like, okay, if we're going to do the reunion thing or the wedding thing, it's going to work. And then you're going to go right back to the old habits and everything else. So that the motivation has to be within you. And it really starts with this vision of where you want to be, of what your future self is. And then just acting as if. So if that future self has great energy and you paint the vision of why this actually matters, what this is going to do for your life. Someone says, I want to lose 10 pounds. I'm like, well, why? What will that do for you? It's not the losing of the 10 pounds, right?
It's more, for me, it's more of, health and wellness.
What does health and wellness do for you?
Well, so I had a health scare earlier this year, so that definitely scared me. And I have a lot of, so my family has a lot of cancer, like other families has a lot of cancer in our family. Both parents had diabetes. My dad had MS. So I definitely want to get into a healthier eating habit again because I want to stay healthy, not only for myself, but, for my son and my loved ones.
How old is your son?
He's 24.
Ah, okay. I've got a 25 and 26. So, so here's the thing. It's really important to tie that all in because again, someone says, I want to get healthy. I'm going to just keep going, well, why? Why? Let's, and the challenge is, these things seem like so far out there, but the reality is a lot of these diseases, if you look at the trajectory of them, like they weren't even things 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And a lot of it is due to our diet, lack of exercise, poor sleep, lots of stress. And that really ultimately is a choice. Right?
Right.
So, and if you look at exercise specifically, like if it was a drug, it would, and insurance paid for it, like every doctor would prescribe it, right? It's the most obvious thing that you can do to change the trajectory of your health and your brain. And then you look at diet and you have someone in your family who had an autoimmune disease where dairy and gluten and soy and corn can be big triggers for that. So you start to look and just go, okay, let's just unpack this and go, what do I need to do now so that I don't go that way? Because you might have the genetic propensity, but it's your lifestyle, it's your diet that's going to determine if that happens or not. So it's all within your control. And sometimes fear is a bigger motivator than, the joy and love, sadly enough. So whichever way it is that we need to push you, but it's got to come internally. And then it's just got to be a shift in your tissues. Like you have to see yourself so clearly as that person, because if you live like a healthy, fit person, you will be a healthy, fit person, but you have to see yourself there first because then you'll just be that person. So just be that person. Be the person who doesn't drink a soda. Like they just would never do that. That's just like absolutely foreign. Have a Zevia? Sure, but I'm not going to drink a soda. I don't do that. Be the person that makes sure that they fit their fitness in their workouts because they feel like crap if they don't. Be the person who goes, no, I'm going to go to sleep because I don't want to feel crappy in the morning, and I know I will. Just start to be that person. It's actually just that simple, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And build your life around that. I mean, I literally build my life around I am that person. Now, there's the rare exception, New Year's Eve, okay? But, other than that, like, I am really careful about my sleep, about what I'm eating, about all of it, because I don't want to feel crappy.
Yeah. What about what about cheat days? What do you think about cheat days? Like pizza on Friday or
So I don't really understand a cheat day because I think a cheat day is a trigger that sets up a lot of problems. And I also think emotionally it's the wrong thing because it puts us into I'm good or I'm bad. I think there's always ways to do, like if you want to have a piece of pizza. Now, if you have an issue with gluten and it's a trigger, or you're intolerant to it, then you're throwing gasoline on a fire. And why not just have a gluten-free pizza? You know, we're going to do we're having a birthday celebration. We're getting a key lime pie because he loves it with a gluten-free crust, and we'll have a little bit. And then it's not a cheat. It's like, okay, that's okay. You don't have to get an A+, but you need to consistently hit an A- or a B+, right? And one of my challenges I see with cheat days is a cheat meal becomes a cheat day, becomes a cheat week. And where I think instead you go, okay, but I really want pizza. It's like, fine, go get pizza. Get a gluten-free pizza, share it with someone, get a salad.
Okay.
Then you don't feel crappy and you didn't start getting that whole good day, bad day. I'm all in, not in, you know? It's just like, no, I know how to navigate this so that my percentages hit to me that I'm about 90%. Some days I might be 95%, some days I might be 85%, totally cool.
Okay.
And then workout-wise, like how do we fit in some high-intensity interval training and some resistance training into your schedule? And then just flat out moving more. Like if you're going to go do, go get some gluten-free pizza and a salad, could you take a walk around wherever you are afterwards to lower the blood sugar response to the meal and get some exercise? Like how do we fit more movement walking in and then some structured exercise, like one day is high-intensity interval training, one day is weight training, back and forth, right? Because it will make a massive difference and you'll start to crave it.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to start doing some weight training again. My arms have gotten a little bit bigger.
So start to look at like, how can I build this in? When are you going to do exercise? When would it fit into your schedule?
Probably, I'm not one that likes to just get up and work out. I know some people like to work out in the AM. I'm more either lunchtime workout or after dinner is generally when I tend to like to work out.
Okay, so here's what I'd love you to do, because it's people always ask me, when is the best time to work out? And I go, when you will. That is the answer, right? It's like, when will you? That's when you should work out. Is there some benefit more in the morning? Hey, the benefit in the morning is most people don't end up missing it. So, and there's a couple hormonal things, but there's also some all during the day. What I'd love to see you do is how many days a week could you do it at lunch? Because I'm assuming that's when you're home working from home.
Yeah. So obviously anytime during the weekend, and then 2 or 3 days during the weekdays.
Cool. So we can put that in there. And then what would be awesome in the evening is actually just to do more of a walk after dinner.
Okay.
And it doesn't take long, but it's really good for the blood sugar response. So if we can get in, 4 to 5 workouts during the week, 2 to 3 during the week from home, and then on the weekend, do some resistance and some high intensity interval training, and then add in the walks, you got it. And you can just start with one of those things. Again, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. This is not like tomorrow you start all this stuff. That sets you up to fail. This is make a list, decide what you're going to tackle first, get it in. Once that's dialed, go to the next.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I definitely do that where, like I said, I'm either all in or
right.
all out.
And you know what? Whenever someone's all in or all out, they always end up all out. It just is, because you can't sustain the all in. Yeah. So it just isn't, it's not the way it's not reality. So instead of that, you're going to get really clear on why you're doing this and where you want to be. You're going to start measuring every day sleep and your body composition, because that will keep you going forward. There's clear research that people that do that when you measure and monitor, you improve. clear. Like that is no question mark. And, and dial in your accountability partner to support as well. And then give yourself grace if like one day you take the day off. Okay. And that's fine. Just get back. But like, if you're going to take the day off from eating correctly, just swap. It's so easy nowadays to eat. Like, we were doing, dessert the other night, just so delicious, dairy-free ice creams with Lily's dark chocolate chips. Not hard, right? Like, so there's all sorts of ways you can do this stuff and not sabotage yourself and still enjoy.
Yeah, I have your cookbook and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I have so many recipes on my blog now, so there really isn't. This is not like 20 years ago where this was hard. It's gotten so much easier, right? So it really is a decision and then a long-term commitment. And then just put benchmarks in place for yourself and celebrate, right? And celebrate. I had to pay one of my sons early on to draw outside the lines because for him, he was either perfect or he wasn't going to do it. And I go, all right, I will just fix this way. And that's the same thing. Celebrate small successes and being able, and the commitment to stick with it and to get a B+. Okay?
Sounds good.
And then report back. I want to hear what happens.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. And please share back so I can share in the success. That's how I get that's what makes me happy.
I absolutely will. And it was a pleasure meeting you.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, so we will have some resources for you, especially those lab tests I recommended through the lab testing company, and my Take 10 stress support, and sleep candy and magnesium body calm, my favorite blue blocker glasses, so a bunch of different things that could be helpful to you. And I would just want to remind you, like, health is a journey, and it's an imperfect journey. And the most important thing along the way is like, if something didn't work well, again, I think to a couple of weeks ago when I ended up eating dinner really late at night, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I get up the next morning and my Oura rings like, you ate late last night. I'm like, holy smokes. But it's just good to see these things. So remember, what you measure and monitor, you can improve. All this is information. Just dial it in and have that compassion and grace with yourself as you're on this learning journey called life. And oh, by the way, if you would like to participate, you can do that at jjvirgin.com/sign up. And we're doing it a couple different ways. Some people are shy. They just want to submit in what's going on with them and get some ideas. Totally cool with that too. And notice I cannot do medical stuff. I am not a doctor. I do not want to play one on podcasts. And if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe to jj.com. It's that simple, and then you never miss a juicy episode. I'll see you next time.